as more and more people grow tired of the lockdowns, as more and more people begin to resist. Now, I'm just saying it may be time for the people to be reminded just how much they need the government to protect them in this global crisis, right? The people may need to be reminded how much they need to obey, how they need to stay in line, stay in lockdown, get back inside. Now, the mainstream media has quietly been injecting this train of thought into the discussion by saying that terrorists and or neo-Nazis could use this crisis as an opportunity to carry out an attack. Now, I'm not saying that this is going to happen 100%, but based on history, it is a real possibility, and 9/11 is the perfect example. While the rubble of the Twin Towers was still smoldering, they were actively trying to rush the Patriot Act through, and they were met with resistance. Well, how did they respond to that resistance? With an anthrax attack, a bio-warfare attack. And they didn't have to kill thousands of people. Fear alone was enough to sell it. So here we are now. People are beginning to resist. The media has injected the idea that terrorists could launch a bio attack during this crisis, and now Bill Gates has come out and said the exact same thing. He said right now we are in phase 1, and phase 2 is a terrorist bio attack.
Well, Bill, since you tried to warn us about this pandemic and we didn't listen, what's the next thing you're warning us about that's going to happen 5 years from now that we're not listening to at the present?
Well, I didn't want to be right. What I wanted to do was
I understand. I'm not saying you won. Everybody loses. Nobody wins with this. And I'm not saying that you're this is not an end zone dance. I'm just saying, what else are we not listening to that we need to take action on now?
Well, the idea of a bioterrorist attack is kind of the nightmare scenario because they're a pathogen with a high death rate would be picked. Now, the good news is, I'm not trying to depress you, it's tough enough right now.
Too late.
Most of the work we're going to do to be ready for pandemic 2, I call this pandemic 1, most of the work we'll do to be ready for that are also the things we need to do to minimize the threat of bioterrorism.
I've never been one to tell people what to think, and I'm not about to start right now, but I would not be surprised if alarm bells are going off in your head right now. And one day, I won't be surprised if I have to refer back to this report and others that I've done recently where these concerns were raised. Now, why is this important? For the same reason that it's important to note that Bill Gates, the Johns Hopkins Center, and the United Nations, both of which Gates funds extensively, ran a pandemic exercise on the exact same day that the World Military Games were holding their opening ceremonies in Wuhan, China, ground zero, simulating a global coronavirus pandemic. This is important for the same reason that it's important to point out that Bill Gates also almost prophetically warned of this exact same scenario taking place of a global health pandemic during a TED Talk in 2015. This is important for the same reason that it's important to point out that Dr. Tony Fauci, who sits on the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation's Special Leadership Council for their Decades of Vaccination initiative, stated that the Trump administration would be hit with a surprise outbreak back in 2017. Now, if you want, you can say that all of these events were just several different coincidences which just so happen to involve the same groups of people over and over and over in the same exact scenarios which we are currently living out right now. Or you can say that the writing has been on the wall for some time. So what is the end game here? Well, in my opinion, it's global governance delivered through technocracy, which is a scientific dictatorship run by an unelected elite which are ready to roll out a new digital system of control which will be run on 5G, artificial intelligence, biometrics, and the blockchain. Your entire existence will be tracked, traced, monitored, surveilled, regulated, and taxed into submission. So how do we stop it? Well, that is the million-dollar question, but as David Icke pointed out right here on this very channel and on several others, if we do nothing, they win. Okay, so we must resist. Now, if you are presented with a situation that you are not okay with or comfortable with, resist it. Plain and simple, resist it. Be as independent from the system as possible. They've been trying to foster dependence upon this system for generations, trying to make it the easy road out. And once you're dependent upon this system, it owns you. Now, they are already talking about coming to people's homes and taking family members away. Are you okay with this? This coronavirus crisis not only falls in line directly with the United Nations 2030 agenda, it has accelerated it. Now, we are witnessing a pre-packaged global transformation taking place right now, and it's up to you. It's up to all of us to resist it. The time is right now. Where is your line in the sand? Because the level of tyranny you will live under is the exact amount you will put up with.